Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our workshop today. And in today's workshop, we are going to introduce you 5D BIM technology by Cubicost. I'm Xavier Wang from Groden, and together with me is my colleague, Mr. An Chen Ten. Let's start. So today's workshop will last around 1 hour, and the content is quite straightforward. Mainly consists of 3 parts. First one, BIM for QSs. Second, Cubicost BIM takeoff. And lastly is the summary. So let's start with the first one. So BIM for QS. In the past, when you heard about BIM, most people would think about, okay, so it's for designers, it's for architecture. But actually, BIM technology can be used by QSs or cost managers. Let's take a look at different usage or different dimension of BIM technology. So starting from 3D all the way to 7D, it means different aspects. For 3D, most of people know is for modeling, for design, including some data. When it comes to BIM 4D, the factor is time. So you can further do scheduling, schedule management. And when it comes to 5D, also the main topic we are going to discuss today is about cost. It means that you can use BIM technology to get your cost information, quantity information. And further goes to 6D is about environment, and 7D even go to the maintenance stage usage. So here's our different ways or different dimension of BIM usage. And today we focus on BIM 5D. So here's the comparison of different ways of doing works. On the left-hand side, we can see categories. The first category is traditional method. Second, 2D-based software. And the last one, BIM-based software. So we put the analogy right here. It's actually quite straightforward. In the past, we do everything manually. It would take lots of the time, but the result is not that good. When the 2D software is released, we just somehow do the works better. With a better tool, we don't need to involve so many efforts, but the logic, the way we do the things remains the same. But when it comes to BIM technology, which is the ones we are going to discuss with you, things has already changed. It completely changed the logic, changed the way we work, and gives us more potential, make our work more easier and more powerful. Let's take a look how it works. Here's our different ways of doing quantity takeoff. Traditionally, it can be mainly divided into 5 steps. First of all, you get the drawing from the designer, and you have to measure the length. Tabulate all these numbers, the length, the area, the volume, and further create the formula and do the subtraction according to the measurement rules. And in different regions, you have different measurement rules. It's not that easy to memorize all of them and make your work 100% good. Finally, you have to generate the reports. However, with the 2D software, it just somehow replaced the ruler and calculator with software. But the rest of the jobs remains the same. You have to do it manually. Let's take a look how BIM technology works. First of all, you get the drawing. Secondly, the software will actually read the drawing as well. It will identify the drawing layers and further generate a BIM model for you. So the BIM model is for QS purpose, not for the design purpose. Once you get the model, the software directly gives you the report, and the quantity, the result. That's how people work with BIM technology. So efficient, straightforward, and easy. And this is how exactly it works. You might think about, if I don't receive 3D models, how do I do my work in BIM method as a QS? This is the thing. No matter what types of drawing information all the way to 3D, you can always do your work in 3D method. And so, for example, when you receive hard copy of scanned PDF, you use hero function or the draw method to build in the model. It's actually something similar as you do in the more traditional method. But most of the time, it's CAD drawing, which is DWG file or vector PDF. This is what I mentioned, identify method. The software, a BIM software, can actually identify the drawing layers and generate a 2D model, a 3D model for you. So it's a process of turning 2D into 3D in a very easy way. So compare with the traditional method, it can be furthermore, if you do the import, the software can actually turn your design model into a QS model. And with the combined with the embedded measurement rules, it can do auto calculation and also generate the report for you with only one click. So eventually, you will finish your work within a few steps with very few mistakes, but quite efficient. Okay, so this is how BIM technology, especially for QSs, can work and can do for you. Now let's go to the second part, which is Cubicost BIM takeoff. We are going to use our BIM technology, Cubicost, to show you how it works exactly. So now I'm going to pass the session to my colleague, Mr. An. Okay.
Right.
Hello,
thank you, Xavier. Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. So you guys should be able to see my screen right now. So basically, what Xavier has mentioned earlier, we have 4 types of software over here. The first one is TAS. The second one is called TRB. Third one is called TME. And lastly, we have TBQ. So each of the software, they will have their own usage. So for example, TAS, it actually stands for takeoff for architecture and structure. So TRB is mainly for rebar reinforcement. TME is for the MEP works, so mechanical engineering and plumbing. And TBQ is mainly for you to generate your bills of quantities and do the quantity linkings to your model. Right. So next, here we have a couple of options. So like Xavier has mentioned earlier, we have the 2D drawings like a PDF, the DWG, or even images. Now, the second method is by using the 3D model. So 3D model, we have a couple of them as well. So the first one is being the IFC file. The second one is the Revit model. So try to imagine, if you're from like 5 or even 10 years ago, you might be using like the scale rule, you're using the dimension papers, all of those. So it will be slower. I can say it's a lot slower compared to what we have now. So we will show you on why I said that later on. So next one, what we have is the embedded with measurement rules. Now this one is one very important factor in our software. So what this does is that once we choose one measurement rule, the software will apply that measurement rule to your model. So you only need to focus in one thing while using the software. That is to model the project. So once you finish the model, you only need to click calculate, and it will generate all of the calculation based on your model. Now, once you have finished your model, you can prepare your BQ in TBQ, and then you can do your cost estimate. You can prepare your price library and do all of the linking there. So it works like this. For example, you finish your TAS and TRB, then you can use all of the quantity from here, link to the TBQ, and then TBQ, you can prepare your own price library and then do the cost estimate. Then, of course, you can proceed with your tendering and bidding. So, So without further ado, let me show you how the software looks like and how it works. First one, this is called TAS. So mainly today we'll be only focusing in TAS. So first, we have to create a new project. And for example, here, maybe we create a name first. So this is the workshop. And here you can see we have a couple of measurement rules. So usually you will have a measurement rule based on your region. So for example, if you're from the UAE part, you can choose the POMI, or we call it UAE principle of measurement here. So once you choose your rule, you can set other things you like, for example, metric, imperial, or even your ground elevation according to your drawing. So click OK. So usually the first loading will be a bit slower. This is because the software will initially load all of the measurement settings into your project. Okay, now once we are in the software, there are several important things we need to take note of. First one being is the project settings. So under the project settings, for example, the project information, we can key in all of the information here. Your project name, your project code, project type, etc. So this is the basic information. Now moving on, we have the floor settings. This is the more important part. So why I say that? This is because that here is where we set up the zoning and the floors for your entire project. So for example, let me add a few more zones. So for example, if you have like many buildings, or maybe you have several towers in the project, so you can actually rename them here. For example, maybe this one is Tower A. Then the second one can be Tower B. And maybe the third one, this is your parking area. So you can just put it as a parking lot. Sorry, or maybe parking tower or something. Okay, this depends on you. So you can click on each of the zones here, and then you can add the floors. For example, for Tower A, you have several floors. You can add a few. Then you can go to the Tower B. You can do the same as well. You can add as many floors as you like. Same goes for your parking tower. Okay, so if you have any basement as well, you can go to the foundation floor, insert. Then you will create a basement floor. And for each of the floors here, you can also change the floor height. For example, this is 4, maybe the ground floor is 5, then the basement is just 2, for example. So this is where you set the general settings, and we have one more settings at the bottom here. This is something like your general notes. So as a QS, usually when we do the measurement takeoff, the quantity takeoff, we need to concentrate or focus on the general notes as well. This is very important because we need to take note of all of the concrete grade, or maybe the formwork type, and so on. So you can do all the settings here. For example, if your beam for your parking lot in foundation floor, so your beam, maybe this one is not C30, you need it to be C35 instead. So you can change it. You can see that you'll be highlighted. Okay, so once you have set this as C35, for every beam that you model in the parking tower in foundation floor, it will always be C35. But of course, if you are worried that maybe some of your beams are having different concrete grade, you can still change them manually. So no worry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to delete these few zones here because we are not going to need this in our demonstration. So for this, we only have a couple of floors here. And I'm going to change the floor height. And let's proceed. So the first part, after we have set up our project settings here, the first thing that we need to do is to import our drawing. The drawing will act as a guideline for us to draw or create to generate our model. So let's get our drawing here. So right now I'm showing you with CAD drawings. So you can see we have the drawings here, and let's start with the structural items. So this one, structural layout plan. So usually from the CAD drawings, you will have multiple layouts in one drawing, usually. So in this case, we can try to split the drawings. We call it split drawings here. So for example, we're needing this floor. Then we click on the name and generate. So at the bottom here, they will generate one more drawing here. This is specifically the ground floor. So the next step is to generate the axis grid line. So in our software, we have one function called Autoidentify. So Autoidentify meaning we can select the required information and we can generate the item. So let me show you how. So for this axis, we are now in the axis grid. We are going to identify it by using the Autoidentify function. First is by pick axis. So this is the axis line. So you can see all of the axis line are highlighted. Second is to pick the label. You select all of the required label. Then lastly, you click Auto-Identify. So what it will do is that it will identify all of the lines, all of the information from your drawing. So once we have already prepared the axis grid line, we can finally start with our structural items. So imagine if you are using manual way, you need to calculate, for example, C1, you need to calculate how many C1 are there in this layout. Then you need to insert all of the information of the C1, for example, what is the size and what is the numbers, and you have to prepare a set of formula in your Excel sheet, for example. So that will take quite some time, I would say. But in our software, by using the Auto-Identify function, it'll be a lot faster. So this is how it works. Again, we pick the sightline. Then we pick the label. You can see I'm picking the labels for the columns. Then we use Auto-Identify. So within just seconds, you can see the columns have been identified. Okay. Then moving on, we have BIM. So BIM works the same as well. So again, we pick the sight line, make sure that we pick all of the required sight lines. Then we pick the label. Then we use Auto-Identify. Once we are done, we can double check by using the 3D view again. So now that we have finished the column and beams, maybe we can proceed with the slabs. So here we have the slab. Then we just use the same function again, Auto-Identify. Now here, I would like you to concentrate on something. Here you can see we have actually have different thicknesses. For example, S1, we have 175, S2 being 150. So even though with different thicknesses, we can also identify all of those. So once we have identified the slabs, it will show you what you have selected. For example, from here, it will show the name of the slabs and the thicknesses of the slab as well. So click OK and done. You have done for the slabs. So now let's proceed with the walls. Now, again, the wall works the same, but here I would like to show you a little bit different things here. So again, we are going to pick the sideline for the walls. This is actually the swimming pool wall. Okay, we are going to pick the sideline of the wall. Then we pick the door and windows sideline, but of course for this one we do not have because this is the swimming pool wall. So we can proceed to Auto-Identify. And from 3D view, you can see the swimming pool wall. But of course, there is some issue here. So if you have noticed, this is the ground floor. This is the swimming pool wall. And the swimming pool wall is supposed to be underground level. So we can actually select the walls and adjust. So other than selecting the walls one by one, we have another function here. It is called the batch. So batch, we can easily select all of the entities that we want. For example, the walls here, like so. And the next step is to adjust the elevation. So I'll let you see how it works. So for example, this walls, I want it to be underground level. So I can set from their own attribute editor here. So let's start at the bottom first. Let's say our height for our swimming pool wall is 1.5 meters. So it needs to go 1.5 meters deep. So we minus 1.5. Did you see that? The walls actually have extended down by 1.5 meters. So what's left to do is to minus or to remove all of the walls above. So we can actually change this, or we can also directly minus this as well. So this is floor height is 4 meters. Oops, sorry about that. So minus 4. Then we have the walls at 1.5 meters deep now. Now, I think we have done for most of the structural items now. So now we are going to import the architectural layout. So from here, we are going to draw all of the brick walls, all of the finishes, staircases, and so on. So again, we go to our drawing. And with the same process, we can split the drawings first. This is our ground floor. And select the name. Now, here there is one more step that we need to do. So this is our drawing, and this is our axis. So they are not aligned. So what we need to do now is to relocate our drawing to match with our axis grid line. Okay, so once we have already matched the drawing and the grid line, we can continue with our modeling. So let's proceed with the wall. Just now we have already done for the RC walls, but now we are going to do for the masonry wall. So again, we're going to select the layer of the walls again. And now we can proceed with the pick door and window sideline. So this is actually doors and window sideline here. Doors and windows, make sure that all of them are selected. Then we can proceed to auto-identify. So here you can see all of the brick walls are identified. Now, if there are any walls that are not correct, you can always select them and just press delete. That's all. So it's very easy to model what you need or what you want. Now, the next step, what we need to do is to insert all of the doors and windows. So earlier on, our walls have all been created, but we do not have walls yet, do not have the doors yet, and also the windows. So now what we need to do is to import the information that we have for the window and door schedule. So you can see we have it here, the window and door table. So we can directly get the information from here as well. So let's go to our door and window opening. And we can click on the element schedule. Then you can see that all of the information will be identified into our software. So you can double check again here, see if you need to edit anything. You can remove any unnecessary information as well. Okay, once you have done, you just click on identify. And on the left-hand side here in the element list, all of those information will be imported into the software. All of the windows and doors. Now let's proceed. Earlier on, we have already identified the sideline of the doors and windows. So what we need to do now is to pick the door and window labels so that the software knows where are the doors and windows are located at. Then we click on auto-identify, and voila, we have the doors and windows completed. Now, you might wonder, what about the lintels? Good question. So once we have already done for the doors and windows, if you have a large project, you might have like hundreds or even thousands of openings. So if you want to calculate for the lintels as well, it might be a bit, I wouldn't say tricky, but it would take a lot of time. So right here, we have the lintel element as well. You just create a new lintel. You can adjust the sizes here. And once you have already adjusted the sizes, you can click one by one here. Of course, we're not going to do that. So we are going to model it intelligently. So here we have one option. This is to automatically lay all of the lintels to all of our openings. So we just choose the function and choose our whole project. And once we have confirmed, you can view in 3D. you can see all of the lintels are placed along the openings. The green color horizontal item, this is the lintels. Okay. Now, once we have completed all of these, maybe we can proceed to show how you can draw a staircase, because staircase is also one of the more tedious element to take off. So here, let's have a look. We can create our staircase here. We are going to use the custom staircase. And let's have a look here. This is the information of our staircase. So the width of the flight should be here. Okay, 1350. So we change this. And the depth of the tread is 280. And the riser is 167. Okay, now that we have our information ready, we can start to draw the staircase. We can adjust accordingly. Now, here I want you to have a look. Here, this is the first flight. And when we connect the second flight, the software will automatically generate a landing slab connecting both of the flight. So here, I'm clicking on the second part and drag. You can see the gray color area here generates a landing slab. So let's say that the staircase stops here, and then it continues here. So once you draw, you can see it generates the landing slab, and you just continue with your staircase. So once you have done, you have something that looks like this. If your staircases, if you have any railings, you can freely adjust as well. So how you do that is by selecting the staircase. You can select the attribute editor over here, and then you can change the railing here. For example, if you want railings at all sides, click OK. Now your staircase will have railings at all sides. Okay. Now moving on, we are going to show you on how we can apply all of the finishes into our project or our model. So for the finishes, here I would like you to have a look. Here we have the floor finish, waterproof, and so on. You can manually create them one by one, or if you already have what we call the finisher schedule, we can actually save a lot of time. So element schedule, the finisher schedule is something like this. You can click on this one, the function. You can import the Excel file. Then here I'm going to look for my file first. It should be somewhere here. Okay, this one, the finisher schedule. So it'll look something like this. For example, each of the rooms, this is the name of the rooms. Then each of the rooms, what type of finishes they have. The floor finish, the wall finish, the skirting, ceiling finishes, and what type of finishes they have. So once you have already identified all of this, then let me delete this one first. Then you can proceed to identify. Once you have identified all of the rooms, all of the finisher schedule, you can see that all of the schedules here, the finishes, they will have all of the information. So now, what we need to do now is very easy. For example, here we have already included all of the information. Let me sort this out first. And let us look at our model. So first we have the wet kitchen. This is the wet kitchen. So here we are going to select the wet kitchen and then just click on the wet kitchen area. Then you can try to view in 3D. It actually shows all of the finishes you have. Ceiling finishes, the floor finishes, then the blue color here and the green is actually the wall finishes for attached at the column and at the wall sides. So even though you have openings here, the software will automatically deduct all of those. So you do not have to worry about that. And even the skirting, you can see the red color here. This is actually skirting. So maybe some of you, you might wonder, this is not that pleasing. I mean, it's not that nice. You want to change the appearance of the finishes. Yes, you can. So you can easily go to your finishes. For example, your floor. The wet kitchen, we're using the 300 × 300 ceramic tiles. So we are going to change this. Sorry, floor finish. So this one, we can change the appearance of the finishes by choosing from here. We actually have a library. So for example, I'm going to choose one of the marbles. It looks like this, the marble. Then it will automatically change to what you have selected. So I'm going to show you a few more finishes that we can do. This is the utility room. Again, I'm going to find the room function and look for utility. Utility, the maid room, and also the maid bathroom. Oops, I think I chose the wrong one just now. It's okay. I'm just going to select this, delete, then just going to point the area again. Okay, now we have a look in 3D again. All of the finishes have been applied. Okay. Oh, it should be okay. So once we have, once we have done the separation line, we can continue to apply the room function here. First one is dry kitchen.
I think you need to go back for around 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah, because you lost your voice for around 1 minute.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So maybe I'll explain on the room functions again. Now, for the room functions, once we have already applied all of the finishes here, this is the finishes schedule. All of the information will be imported into our software. What we need to do next is to apply that room into our model rooms. So for example, this is our wet kitchen. We are going to look for the wet kitchen and just apply into this room. You can see that this room is enclosed. So the room will apply to this area only. And now when we have a look in 3D, you can see that we have all of the finishes attached. If you want to change the appearance of your finishes, you can always go to the finishes here. For example, I'm going to change the wall finishes. So maybe I want to change the ceramic tiles here. I can select the materials texture and change. So now you have the finishes ready. So let's do a few more rooms. This is the utility room. And moving on, we have the maid bathroom and the maid room as well. Okay, let's have a look in 3D again. Okay, here you have all of the finishes. And then let's try one more room here. Here you can see we have the dry kitchen and also the casual dining. They are actually connected to each other because there is no wall over here. So what we need to do now is to use a separation line to draw, to separate them so that we can apply the room functions. So I'm going to draw one more line over here. And now I'm going to apply the room function of dry kitchen and casual dining. Okay, now you can see it will properly apply here and the dry kitchen. And we can have a look in 3D. Okay, now let's assume that we have completed the model at ground floor. So it will look something like this. And let's assume that we have the same entities at the other floors. So what we can do is we can change the floor and then we can copy what we have done earlier. So just copy by floor, select from other floor, and select the elements that you need. So for example, we are going to choose the columns. The walls, we are going to skip the RC walls. And then the rest, maybe we need it. So I click OK. And all of those will be copied to the other floor as well. So we can actually view from here, from ground floor to first floor. Now, once we have already finished the model, so like I said earlier, what you need to do in this software is just focus in finishing the model. Once you have finished the model, you can easily go to the quantity tab, click on calculate, and the software will now generate all of those quantities for you. Now we go to the view quantity by category. Then we can have a look here. The left-hand side here shows all of the elements that you have drawn so far. So for example, column, we have a ground floor, first floor, wall, door, window, all of this will be included as well. So you can see the area of opening, how many numbers are there, area, width, height, all of those information. So let's have a look at column. For column, remember we have a lot of different columns, right? But in here, they only show you the overall amount. So if you need to change some settings to show each of the columns, we can go to the set classification in quantity. Then we can simply open the name here and we click OK. Now you can see from here, ground floor and first floor, it will show you each of the columns of different namings. Then you have all of the individual quantities as well. So let's say that you want to check how our software get this quantity, because you might wonder, why is this different than the rest? So we can select this value, click on reversely checked model, and the software will immediately and automatically bring you to the location of your column. So you can see it's from here. So now we can also check on how the software generate the quantity for this. So we can select this column, select view expression, then you can see how the quantities or the measurements are done. So for the volume, you use the length times the width times the height. Then you get the quantity in meter cube. Same goes for the area of formwork and so on. Now let me give you a better example. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Okay, you can see that this wall over here, we have multiple openings, one door, two windows, and couple of columns here, and we actually have beams as well on the top here too. So we can select this wall, then we can view expression, see how the calculations are done. So you can see it will first calculate the original quantity, then it will deduct the door, deduct the window, deduct column, and so on. So some of you might wonder, this is a bit too hard to understand. This is why our software has also included what we call the 3D deduction. So once you have select on this function, you can have a look at the deductions in 3D. We can click on the original quantity. This is the original quantity of the walls. So we can click on deduct door. It will show you where the deductions are. In the window, column, beam on top here, lintel, and also slab if there are any. So in the end, this is the net quantity of the walls that you should have. Okay, so I guess this is done. This is done for our demonstration. So I would like to show you one more thing. Actually, in our TASC3, we have one function called Cubicost Cloud. For example, we have already done our model. We can directly upload by using our Cubicost Cloud. You simply log in, then it will bring you to Cubicost Cloud. And here, this is supposedly this is where all your files should be after you have upload. So how you want to upload is by clicking here. For example, once you have saved your model, you click upload, then it will be uploaded into your Cubicost Cloud. Then you can further share your files to your friends, to your colleagues, or even clients. Okay, so this is all for my part. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, An, for this sharing. And we continue on the next part. So the next part is summary. So I believe you have really understand the basic logic and how to operate a BIM QS software or solution. Okay, so let's quickly introduce a bit more on. I think it's just got stuck. Okay, now it's better. So let's take a look on global distribution. So we actually have more than 60 branches across the world, and this is the brief map. No matter you are located in the place where we have the branches or partners or not, we actually can provide the support and services to you no matter where you are. Like we mentioned right here, the software, the solution is actually used in more than 100 countries. So don't worry about this, and we will provide the support to wherever you are. And this is just a list of some users of Cubicost. So as you can see, whether the consultant, contractor, developers, or some big names in the Middle East, India, Vietnam, or other places in the world, and also many China company actually use the software as well. So just give you a reference. And let's take a look at some real data. So here's the feedback from the actual users. So they compare the time they spend on the project with manual method and BIM method. So the result on average is actually, if we do the works with manual method, it would take around 49 days. However, with Cubicost, it will be around 4 times faster. What does it mean? It means more time for family or more time for more projects. More projects means more revenue. Okay, so this is the reason why to move to BIM instead of doing the works as it was. So the future is now, I would say. Everyone is starting to use BIM, and many countries has already announced their policy regarding on BIM. So QSs or cost managers or cost engineers or commercial managers, don't hesitate. It's time to move to BIM. Besides the efficiency, there are also many other benefits. So let's say, for example, we need to deal with check or design changes a lot. So when you use a BIM technology, it can actually be 10 times faster. But when it comes to the accuracy, this is also the feedback from the clients. Compared with the traditional method, the BIM method is actually more accurate. Why? Because all the calculation is being done by the software, by the technology. With the embedded measurement rules, it also almost never make mistake. So that's the reason. And what's more, it save lots of the time and give us more time to do the more valuable jobs. And here's some project cases. No matter how complicated the project is, we can do it. And the efficiency improvement can be very high. And as you can see here, this is not just for quantity takeoff improvement, it's for the overall efficiency. Okay, so starting from the quantity takeoff, afterwards, the checking, the BOQ preparation, everything together, the efficiency improvement can reach to around 60 to over 70%. So this is the workshop for today. If you would like to learn more or have any question, don't hesitate to contact us at bd@global.groden.com. bd@global.groden.com. Again, I'm Xavier Wang, and together with me, Mr. An Chen Ten, hope we bring you some ideas regarding to BIM technology, especially for QSs. Hope this session can also enlighten you on some inspiration in your future works. Thank you very much and see you soon.
Thank you, guys.